Honorable Minister of Higher Education, Member Kandep.
Speaker, thank you. I'd like to seek your leave of the chair, to answer to some questions without notice raised by the Deputy Leader of the Opposition the other day in my absence.
Honorable Minister, by you ask him leave of Parliament. So Parliament grant him you leave by, you can answer him this question.
Well, through your chair, I'd like to seek leave of the Parliament to give me a few minutes, 5 minutes, to answer to some questions asked last at this Parliament in my absence. Thank you.
Is leave granted? Leave granted, Mr. Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Parliament, for giving me granting me the leave. There were some questions raised, 5 questions, and I'll read them and I'll answer them briefly. Why most students who scored high GPA is not given a place in the universities? First question, Mr. Speaker. The second question was why students are given placing in the universities that are not of their preferences or choices. Number 3 question was why students who met the required GPA are placed in the selection pool. Number 4, the 4th question, can the minister admit or deny there is academic fraud in the online selection system? And the 5th question was the question asked regarding review the online selection system and processes and establish a fair solution in the process. I do acknowledge those questions as very important because the school years are starting and the questions raised regarding the students is very important. I'd like to answer in the following, but also before I answer, Mr. Speaker, I have got the Department Secretary to publish this on the newspaper regarding some clarifications, so can be seen on the papers as well and also in the social media. A brief explanation to this, but I'll answer in the following. The first question, students at high school doing grade 12 are using National Online Application System called the National Online Application NOAS, and they have options of 5 choices. So it's not like they're doing without the involvement of the students themselves. They can choose 5 different programs as preferred by a grade 12 school leaver. The students do the application. This selection system provides information for his program with clear and distinctive requirements, preferences, and residential options. C, the National Online Application System is open for 3 months. Thus, students have more time for decision making. D, students' application must be met to social programs, exams combinations, and requirements of a university or higher education institution. E, the National Application System increases chances for admissions through subject combination matching. F, Mr. Speaker, please note that GPA is not the single requirement considered as a factor in program selection ranking. Selectors at institutions of higher learning and universities insert into the system use complex ranking order in the round of selections. And finally, for the first question, institutions of higher learning and universities set up criteria to ensure that their students reach the highest academic competencies during their studies. This resulted in a few students with good GPA not being selected because of the standards set. Now, answer to the second question. It is impossible for a student to be selected to a different university or a higher education institution if she or he didn't include in the 5 choices. The National Online Selection System works as follows. A, student is applying by using the National Online Application System. It is digital. In the system, the student has 5 different options to select the institutions of higher learning, as I alluded to earlier. B, the national online selection system is selecting a student in accordance of the choices he or she has made, the requirements of the institutions and the quota which the institution has of how many students can be enrolled at each program. Each program has limited number of spaces to enroll students. C, the system is selecting students who are meeting all the requirements of the institution and with the highest GPA score. For example, the national online selection system starts to select students with GPA 4. And if the code is filled with the students having GPA 4 and meeting all the requirements, then all other students with GPA 3.9 unfortunately will not be selected because you have that competition right there. D, Mr. Speaker, therefore the system looks at the second or third or fourth or fifth choice of the student and similar program. Thus, the student is selected according with other choices made. And E, the system cannot select student to an institution if the student did not include the higher education institution or the university on the list of choices. And finally, it is easy to find out evidence just to get the name of the student and ask the student to open her or his account on the online application system, and everyone can see if the students apply to institutions or not. The system cannot and will never select students to university or institution if the student did not apply. So the evidence is there in the application that the students made in the computer system. So it is evident there's no fraud involved. When students' results were made available in the system, students were able to view the choices and make the required changes during the grace period. Now to the third question, Mr. Speaker. Students who met the required GPA are placed in the selection pool for the following reasons. First reason, they did not meet all the requirements and criteria for the university or higher education institution they applied to. And second reason is there were students with higher GPA, and because of limitation related to space available, they are not selected, and some of the answers I have given earlier. And finally, the student subject combination did not match the subject combination required by the university or higher institution. Now, answering the fourth question, there is no academic fraud in the national online selection system or the national application system, Mr. Speaker, because of the following. There is a digitalized program which is specifically designed and developed for our universities and all higher institutions in Papua New Guinea, which considers subject combinations, spaces available, criteria established by the institution, and GPA required. Secondly, with full confidence, I can state that there is no academic fraud in the manner in which students are selected. Please provide me, I would like to ask the Deputy Leader, provide me any list of students who complained that they were selected to different institutions, they did not apply, or if they met all the requirements specifically and were not selected. I'd like to have a list because this is a very important point the Deputy Leader would have raised, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to address them. So ask him to give me the list of those students who he felt or complained to him that they was affected. And finally, on the fourth question, I will provide you with evidence from the student online application system to prove that there were academically better students with higher GPA, and also I will provide evidence from the student's own application that the student included institution to which he or she was selected. So there was no any fraud played there. And finally, Mr. Speaker, no system is perfect, and there is always room for improvement. It goes without saying that as the minister responsible for this sector, the space that I'm entrusted with, I will ask for a report, and we will work with higher education institutions and put together our ideas to review and improve, because I believe that the systems can be improved, any system can be improved from the current status quo. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members.